It's a divine connection.
Welcome to the Divine Connection Show. Divine connections are those associations or relationships that God has preordained for us. You are with your host, Katrina Deal-McCall, Clotia Mack, and Tenora Edwards. Okay, and let's welcome our special guest today, Julia Kellom, and also Shaundallah Rogers. Welcome, ladies, to the
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. So, Shaundallah, can we just start with you with your divine connection story, and we'll go from there.
Well, there have been many divine connections in my life. Uh, but I'm going to go back to probably the first one that I can remember. And it was my next door neighbor. She always went to church every week, every week, every week. She went to church. Now, my mom didn't go to church. My mom was a believer, but she didn't go to church. But this lady went to church. We had the same amount, like she had the same amount of children, and she had a husband. My mom didn't. And she would go, and the church was like a, what is that? Like a storefront church where the Holy Ghost, they falling out, and it was, and I used to, so I was intrigued as a little girl, and of course we would play church. So, I'm in church, just, acting. And then, but she also would do things that would confuse me, like, but you just cussed out everybody, and I just heard you. On Sunday, we wearing white, and we ain't gonna be late for church.
Right.
But the wonderful thing about it was that was a new experience for me. That was the first experience of going to church and really having a divine connection with Christ as I knew it as a little girl, and with fellow Christians. We went from a house to a building, and then that was a very foundational for me, and so that's something that I never really talk about, but that was the very foundation of Christ being introduced to me, I would say. And so through that divine connection, our whole families have been connected for years, over 30 something years. So from that one connection, everybody continue to stay connected throughout the neighborhood, but definitely our family, included. So that would be I would say that would be my preteen and my preteen, teenage, introducing a divine connection within the church. But I would have to say that I've had divine connections all throughout. I can remember being a freshman in college and being the one black girl in the class. Just one. I was one. And everybody, when I walked in, they moved to the other side. And one girl, Ann Strobel, she moved and set her desk by me. That was freshman year, and we are still friends to this very day. And her divine connection, that divine connection helped me learn about Catholic, because she's Catholic. Helped me learn about, I didn't become a Catholic, but I understood. I learned about, being a Catholic and what that meant, and prayers that she would do and lighting candles for me, and, all throughout my life. And so that divine connection was key to me moving and growing and developing as a person. And throughout this time, I've helped many people. I did not know I was helping them. And I would say, wow, I come across this person, a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And I remember when I first read that, it was in an Ayana Van Zalt book, and I was going through a bad breakup. And I read that, and I was like, wow. So the fact that I do truly believe that people do come in your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And so you have to understand what type of divine connection it is. It may not be a lifetime connection, but it's a connection that's key for you to move forward in what you need to do, or sit back and learn. You know, those seasonal connections are key. This one book, I got a book, it's called Do Not Die in Your Winter. Do Not Die in Your Winter. And that was someone gave me that book in my winter times in my life. She was a seasonal person, but the connection that her and I made so that I can move forward and to be the person I am now. And so it's key. Divine connections are key to my life. And I always like people. I'm very outgoing, probably a little more trusting than people think I probably am. I am trusting until those connections may not be a good connection. And I think we need to talk about those as well. You can think you divinely connected to somebody and they divinely coming to jack you up. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
Because just like God sins, the enemy also sins. And so you have to use discernment when you're talking about connections, period. Because that is key to you either moving backward or moving forward. Now, I have to say, in this time of my lovely womanhood of late 40s, I have been, it's been a wonderful connection with the ladies on this Zoom call. And the connections have pushed me to a point where I had to come out of my comfort zone. I mean, I'm talking about even to take a picture. I love taking pictures, but I'll never forget that photo. Yes, girl, be quiet. I love taking pictures, but that photo shoot that Katrina did, and she just said, be free, be open. And it was like I was able to connect with her in a different way, connect with nature in a different way, and connect with myself. So when I see those pictures, I don't see them just as pictures. See, people just, oh, that's beautiful. You had on that beautiful skirt. But I see them as freedom because I was able to connect, but to let go of all that stuff that was holding me back.
Amen.
So I have to say that the destined to overcome, the connection of I always wanted to have it. But I remember Clotilde was going, she said, I got a business coach. And so I said, oh, what the business coach tell you to do? I want a business coach. And she said, well, okay, you tell her you want to meet. And you all don't understand because see, fear has ruled my life. I don't look like it, but fear has ruled my life. Fear of failure and sometimes fear of success. Because if I'm successful, that means I'm gonna have to push more of my comfort zone, a little bit more of my comfort zone. And so when I sat down and talked to LaShawn, it was awesome. Like, I can really do this. I don't have to have an MBA. I can do it. And so that's when Destined to Overcome became more than just something on the paper, but it became a registered nonprofit corporation. And so to me, that divine connection, no, we're not best friends, but she lit a fire in me. You know, LaShawn lit a fire in me that pushed me to where I am and where I don't have a problem moving forward in some things.
I wanted to bring something. I want to make sure that we didn't miss this because you talked about how Katrina taking pictures of you helped you to be free and helped you to experience another level of freedom and to push you in your purpose. And a lot of times we experience divine connections when we are walking in our call and in our talents and gifts. If Katrina, who was God taught with this photography and a lot of things that she does, if she had not been walking in her talents and what she loves to do and her calling and her gift, she wouldn't have been there to impact you. And when you said that, it also reminded me of her taking pictures of Julia and the freedom that I saw in Julia's pictures. And I'm like, wow. When you're walking and doing what you're supposed to do, in other words, you will make those divine connections and you will impact people. Now, this is Katrina's business, but it's also ministry in the way that she's impacted you and Julia and other people. So I just had to point that out because I'm like, yeah, because I look at those pictures and I do see by the ocean. And even when she did Danielle's pictures, just all this freedom and just embracing who I am and the process and all of that. So yeah, Katrina, you walking in your calling, your talents,
Absolutely.
and allows you to get those divine connections and help other people. So that's great.
Absolutely.
I don't want that to just kind of go over our head.
But thank you.
I
That's good.
wanted to mention something else that you said, Sean, about other people coming in your life to jack you up, or other or connections. But when they're divine and they're God-given, inspired connections, there's always confirmation. And so before I even started the photography business, I had visited a church. And the pastor, she had prophesied over the business. And, it's something I was praying to the Lord about. And I said, Lord, I just need confirmation. You gave me this gift, but I don't want to use my gift for just anything. I would never be a club photographer. I want to use it for ministry. I want to use it for the kingdom. Show me how I can help use this for the kingdom. And I remember visiting at that church with a girlfriend of mine, and it was during a time too that I was going through some things. So I'm like, okay, so am I staying here in Cleveland? Do I start the business? And I remember that day when I visited, she had 5 women come up to the podium, and it was 5 things she wanted us to mention, what we wanted God to bless for that year. And it was 2016. And so this was the top of my list. I want to start this photography business. I had a business before in Hawaii, and I know that the key thing, they always say, just do it. And just like, if it's what God has for you, is for you, and he's going to line everything else. He's going to make the provisions for it. But she prophesied over me. And she said, you know what? You're going to impact people with this. You're not. And the tools that you need for your business, they're going to just be given to you. You're not going to pay what everybody else pays. And so she just kept on, and now confirmation. And as soon as I walked out that Sunday, that's when the ball started rolling. So she over me, she anointed my head, and everything else that came with that, those 5 things, slowly but surely, I started being connected to people, and those other doors start opening.
Yes.
So it's always going to be confirmation. And if you have any doubt that it may or may not be the right connection that God sent, pray for confirmation. He will give it to you. It's okay. Ask God, okay, so what is this? What is this new person? We know the devil is working, and he doesn't walk around with horns and crazy face. So,
right.
I need to know why this person is in my life, why I feel so comfortable. Are they here as friend or foe? So it's okay.
That's why discernment to me is key. In prayer and everything, discernment for me is key, because I have, been in situations where, that person or that situation may not have been the best situation, but it's so wonderful when you're connected to Christ. He'll move swiftly. It won't take a long time. He'll move swift. It won't be like, oh, no, you're not. No, I'm not going to let my daughter go through this over and over again. Again, I'm going to swiftly tell her this is what to do. Now it's up to me to be obedient and move in it.
Right.
But swiftly, he tells me what, and because I'm open to it. My mind is not closed, like I know what I'm doing. No, I don't. So I need you to definitely right now in this situation, because I know that people are watching. I know, and I know that people are, I love the way that God has used me. It's only by the grace of God. Through those, it's so many people that I never thought I would even connect with, that I did. And typical people that I never thought I would connect with. And then I saw breakthrough. And then I saw, oh, wow. So this is the reason why I had to go through this, so that I could see breakthrough in that. And that's powerful to me. And that's nothing to, each of us, one of us on this call has a divine connection to whatever purpose and plan that God has given us. And we cannot forget that we have to remember our why. Why did God call you to do X, Y, and Z? What are you doing to impact other people? And it's not about you, but it's about serving other people. And through that, the connections will continue to come. You know, and they will.
If I can jump in real quick, because I want to just add to when you talked about the connections that, again, that weren't very comfortable. For example, I've had connections with people that I just thought was divinely orchestrated. And, you know, I, on one hand, may have felt like, oh, I just adore this person. Or, you know what I'm saying? I felt some way about them. And then come to find out, they come from a whole different angle. And it, you know, it can be hurtful. But what I learned from that is sometimes divine connections, even in the hurt and the pain, that person may have been used just to teach you something.
Absolutely.
It's whether you're going to learn and grow from what they came to teach you. So I took that situation because I really, a true story, adored this person, admired her, and some information that came back to me from a response that she gave about me, I was hurt. But I said, okay, God, show me in the connection, what am I to learn?
Right.
He showed me some things within myself. You learn from this, or what she say was true? No. Can I improve in any areas of my life? Yes. Right. So you just take some situations and you learn and you grow from them. So it's almost like all connections are divine in some sense.
I like it.
If there's
that's
you
good.
Know, it's what we're gonna. Some are here to stay, but
I like that.
Teach us.
Yes, and that's so important you said, because some are seasonal, and we make the mistake thinking that they're a lifetime, and those seasonal ones are there for that lesson. Yeah, and you can miss it, or you can really pay attention and learn from it. And that plays a big part with regret as well. That was one of my biggest pet peeves. I do not like when women, oh, I regret this, I regret. Nothing's ever wasted. Right.
Absolutely.
You don't allow it. That's right. You
I don't care how painful it was, or I mean, if you had to jump through a lot, nothing is ever wasted. Because if you look back on that, you can see that, hey, if that situation comes up again, hey, I know to run the other way, or I know what to do.
That's right.
Nothing is ever wasted. Don't ever live in regret. Regret is of the devil, because we can always learn and then we move on. So Julia, your turn.
Oh, wow. My turn. Well, it's so funny because everything that Sean talked about really has really been a pivotal point in my life where it touched me. Being brought up in the church, I grew up in the church. My stepfather was a pastor, and then he was associate pastor, and at one point he was actually pastoring a church. So my grandfather, my grandmother, both sides of the family have always been inside of the church walls, you know, so church has always been a major component in my life and a part of my life. But being in church has also brought church hurt, you know, divine relationships, to where when I was younger, I had a certain family who took me up under their wing and loved on me as if I was their niece, you know, their very own niece. And years later, growing up in the kingdom of God and in ministry, the same lady took me back up under her wing, and she began to teach me, you know, how she learned and where she was. And it was Pastor Minister Clovis. Many of you all know her. When I was younger, me and her niece were best friends. And so she took me, her and her family, they took me up under their wings. I spent many nights with her, even when my friend wasn't there. I spent many nights at her house and with her son. And so as I got older and went away to college and came back, and we connected again. And even now in the ministry, she has, took me up under her wing and taught me a lot of things and encourages me a lot. So divine connection is very amazing, even with the ladies on this line. I met Tenora through a friend, Sanella, who's a hairdresser, and she invited me to the pink party. And I'm like, well, what is that? And she like, well, just come. I'm like, okay, like just come this weekend. And so, I had an amazing time that weekend. I got to see Clotia, who I talked to on the phone the week prior. I didn't know that she was gone until we kind of talked later on, and then I met her there. So it was just from one thing to another. And I know God always brings people in our life, and like you said, Sean, for reasons and seasons and different times and spaces in our life. But everything, Katrina, like you just said, is not wasted. I used to think when I was younger, the things that happened to me in my life, God, why does these things happen to me? I was very angry because I didn't understand why. And I didn't want to take a lesson from those things. Those were some very ugly things that I didn't want to take a lesson from. But as I got older and mature, I understood that each thing that I went through, yes, it was devastating, but it grew me. And it taught me how to mend relationships, because as a woman, I didn't really know how to have a relationship with women without making it feel like a homosexual relationship. The reason that is because I was molested, raped actually, by a friend, a female at that. So that tainted my relationship with women. So as I got older, I had to learn how to be a friend. I had to learn how to have relationships with women, as a friend. And so without fear, let me say that. And so divine connections is something that's really important to have, that you understand what a divine connection is, and whether this person is here in your life for just a little while, because sometimes I would get upset about relationships that went in, and I'm like, wow, I really love this person, but that person was meant to teach me something, and for me to move on, and for that person to move on. So we each deposit something in somebody's life when we leave them, or even if we stay, or even if we don't talk to each other on a daily basis. I had to also learn that too. Like, you don't have to talk to this person every day for them to be your friend. So that's a connection, learning a person and learning how you connect to that person. And that's a divine connection. That's an understanding of what a divine connection is, that we can go a month without talking, but when we talk back on the phone, I still have that love for you, and that friendship is there, and we can pick up exactly where we left off. So, yep, that's where I am with it, divine connection. So that's amazing.
Yes. Now, you mentioned Julia as well. I just love the fact that where you had highlighted that you had to learn to be or trusting of women again, or connecting to women again. And I think with just, because we all communicate, we all have shared our testimonies. I think we have all experienced that, betrayal of other women, and how to trust again. How do I get close again? Lord, how do I overcome this? What do I need to look for? And it's sometimes it can be challenging, but I mean, it's definitely something that we have to pray about. First and foremost, before we're able to connect to other women again, we have to get past that hurt.
Yes. And that's something too, that when we have disagreements, it's okay to disagree with a friend. It's okay not to be on the same page sometimes, but knowing that that love that you have for that person is different than a disagreement. Sometimes it's just that we're not always going to agree upon something, but we always can agree to love one another and treat each other in the correct way.
And that, my friend, is divine connection, because God is love. Yes. And God is love, and it shouldn't be anything other than that. If it's
That's
something
right.
other than love, or you acting out of something
Yeah.
else, it's not of God, and it's
Mm-mm.
not a divine connection.
It's not divine.
Yeah, it's not God.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sean, you had something to add?
I did want to add something. I like the way Julia did discuss that you know, being hurt by at a younger age, being molested or things of that nature. And I'm going to be very transparent right now. It's funny that she said that, because I wasn't molested, but I've had situations when I was younger with women, with other girls, and it was it made me think like, well, what's wrong with me? And then it made me feel like, well, is this how every girl acts and wants to be my friend because they want to touch me, or they want to learn what I know, or you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
so it's very it's funny how when that happens, that you have to learn. I think someone said that you have to learn how to, you know, heal from yourself. You have to
Yeah.
heal in order to attract the type of divine connections you want.
That you desire.
Because the healing is key. The healing and the self-care is key. And healing hurts. When you really healing, it hurts. It's some parts of healing that hurt. And you have to be honest and transparent. And by telling you all what I just said, does that mean I'm less of a, does that mean you're gonna be like, oh my God, she's, you know, so no, that's where the divine connection comes, because it's no judgment. It's just telling you that's part of my story. And it is. It doesn't make me any more or less than a woman, but it's a part of my story. A story that has helped me build relationships with other women and to help women that have been through that same thing.
And that's something that we have to learn from too. We have to also learn how to teach as we heal. You know, sometimes they tell you, oh, you know, you got to heal. You can't help anybody because you're going through something. But sometimes in order to heal, you have to teach others. You have to help others walk through it. You walk through your pain as you're helping somebody else walk through their pain.
Yes.
And that's, that's absolutely true. You know, earlier this year I went through it. I tried to commit suicide. And so it was very, very painful. But I took a step back for about 30 days. And then God said, now it's time. Now it's time. And so I was like, I don't know. But then I felt strong enough to do it. And I didn't stop, because someone needed to hear that they're still, that I'm still here, and you can still be here, and you can go through that, and I can be this, you can be this, a person that's in ministry and helping people and still have things that you need to deal with and work through and still be okay. That's so true, Julia, that in order, sometimes while you're in it, you have to teach it through so that you can be successful.
That's good.
It's like our purpose in life. We have to, you know, our purpose causes us to sometimes experience, you know, what we have to teach and help others. Like Chloe, I'm sure you had to go through learning how to forgive in order to tell your story. And mine is constant, because I'm bringing women together, and I have to learn how to deal with betray, all type of things. We all our walk in our purpose, we all experience what we have to teach about.
Yes, amen.
That's very true.
That's very
true. That we walk through those things. One of my favorite scriptures is Psalms 23. And the part that says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. when you go through things, it feels like death sometimes.
Yes.
Because you're dying to that thing, whether it's fear or anxiety. You're walking through a valley that you've never been through. When you're in a healing process, you have to walk through that valley in order to die to whatever it is that you're dealing with, through whatever it is you want to overcome. We have to die to those things. We have to die to not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. We have to die. So when that person says, yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I don't know what this is. I've never been here before. So my experience through this valley that I'm going through right now is going to lead to the death of something that I need to get rid of.
Right. Absolutely. And I think God designed the ministries and our purpose for that reason. He knows everything about each one of us, and he already put in the works what I want you to do, this territory I want you to go to, I want you to go to this, because he had already saw what our life was going to be about.
Exactly.
It's so amazing to me that a ministry, when God had dropped in my spirit what he wanted me to do with my purpose in the ministry, and we all had that sit down dinner, each one of you, as a couple of others, about the walk and talk about it, when that came about it. And then just even him evolving just me and learning a little more about the aspects of domestic violence. Yes, we know the violence part, but there's more to it. You know, the whole emotional, verbal, how it all ties together. And then he causes us to take a look at our own lives. And because there was a lot of things that I'm reading up, and I'm like, hey, I was in a verbal abusive relationship or an emotional abusive relationship, and I had no clue. But he put it before me. So while we walking through the ministry, he's also enlightening you, like, hey, you experienced this your own self. You have walked through this your own self. So I mean, it's just amazing how he caters those ministries and that purpose according to your life. And yet, in order for you to be able to help, really help someone and bring them through, you got to know exactly what you're talking about. I don't want to be around a person who ain't never went through nothing. Bottom line, I don't want to know. I mean, because how you going to help me if you ain't been
There's
through it?
nothing you can teach me.
Yes.
That's it.
Or even somebody who like to pretend like they haven't been through anything, like they've been saved since they came out the womb. So it's like, so that's self-righteous, and all of those things really are as walls. So, okay, not only are you pretending you never been through anything, but you don't feel, oh, God is good, girl, don't be lying, just crying. But it's the faith that we wear, and that's what I love about divine connections, is that you don't have to wear a face.
Yes.
Authentically who you are. That person and to God. It's like, even when you talk about divine connections, our divine connection with him, I don't have to wear a face. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be discouraged. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get to the word, but right now I'm mad. Don't tell me no scripture. Hold on, I'm mad right now.
That's right. Because he already knows that. He already knows that we're angry.
Yes.
That's right. He already knows that. So why do we have to hide that from him? You know, why do we have to hide that from people that he connects us with? Like, there's a reason why he connects us with people, because certain people, is because he wants to say, hey, I want you to open up to Clotia, because Clotia can help you through this, or you can be honest with her. You can be transparent. Or Tenora, I can tell Tenora something. So even in those moments of us feeling like, I want to stay in my little closet because I don't want anybody to know anything and let me heal by myself, we have divine connections that help us get over the hurdles if we just become honest and take off the mask and say, hey, girl, I'm hurting. Hey, during this pandemic, it's been really rough for me. Why? Because I'm single. You know what I'm saying? And so everybody has their little boo at home with them, and, you know, in relationships, and able to do that. And then I'm home by myself. Besides dealing with my grandmother, you know, I'm home by myself. So those things hit differently. But when you have friendships that you can call and be like, girl, today is not a good day for me, or I had a moment that I was feeling like this, and we have to be honest with each other. Being honest helps you heal through everything that you're going through. It'll help you up out of depression if you're honest.
Yes,
and that's one thing that we don't do. We don't be honest with the people that God gave us to be honest to.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's good.
And that go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you're not doing this life alone.
That's
There's
it.
no
Yeah,
way
you don't
can
have
do
to.
life
You don't
alone.
have to.
No,
Mhm.
it's not gonna happen. I don't care how many times you've been hurt, how many times you've been betrayed. You're just gonna have to get over it and move on. But you're not doing life alone.
Right.
It's just, he didn't design it that way. Yes, we have our divine connection to him in the spiritual world, but in the natural, we need to have that connection.
Yes.
You need to be able to speak. You need to be able to hug. You need to be, I mean, one day we'll be able to hug and do all that.
Again, right. We'll be able to hug each other.
Right.
Yes.
One of the ladies in my Bible study, we were talking about anxiety yesterday, and she said, you know, I used to fret and I used to cry and I used to worry. She said, but I started telling God who, because she said she would call different people, and you know how how certain people, you see their name on the phone, you like, I ain't got it today. You know they're gonna be complaining and whining. She said, what I did was I flipped it. I started talking to God about it, and then he would tell me who to call. I said, now, you know, girl, that's a good strategy. Because
That is a good strategy.
yeah, but instead of whining and getting all upset, she said, I started telling God how I feel. And he would say, call this person, you know, or call that person. So I'm like, that's, to me, it reminded me when you just said that of the divine connection, how when we share with God, sometimes talking to him will be enough, and sometimes he will lead us to a person to talk to. We're like, I don't know about that. Then I said, call her. Okay.
Right.
You know, so it's that divine connection, whether it's for a friendship or just maybe that moment where you just call and get some wisdom from that person.
Yeah.
But I love that she said that. I talk to God and he tells me who he wants me to call. And I'm like, hey, that's good, because we automatically think, let me call. No, can't call her for prayer because she might be going through her own thing. I can't call her to get $10 because her light's off. So I ain't calling her for $10 and she over there in the dark trying to figure out.
I want you to
kind of like.
So yes, he would tell, and you like, call her, not knowing she just got double stimulus check plus $600 plus visit. I'm like, call her. She seemed broke. Call her, and you call her. She like, I got you. I pay your whole car note. What?
Right.
You gotta listen. Like when y'all talk about discernment and listening and not being so, because some things that we may not see as divine, we thinking like, nah, I ain't really into. I don't. And he's like, I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to take you somewhere.
Trying to help you out.
Listening. Yes.
Because
but that point is very.
Because we have to remember, sometimes we're the only Bible that people see. So you have to remember that the way you treat I found a scripture, it was Micah. Oh my gosh. And I loved it. And it talked about how God wants us. It's like, how do you want, Micah asked him, well, how do you want me to treat these people? And he said, treat them justly, show them mercy.
Yeah.
And it's clear as the day. And Micah, but it says that, and that stuck with me. It stuck with me because it's so simplistic, but it's for real. Just treat them justly and give them the same mercy that I've given you.
That I give you.
And with that, then you will know what to do. Then you'll know who to talk to. You'll know which direction to go. And it's also because we are givers and nurturers, we have to find that person or persons that can feed back into, that can give back, feed us too. It might not be in this, but we need to be fed. We need to be poured into too, because you can't give out of an empty. You can't give out of an empty vessel. You cannot. It's not possible. You will drain yourself. You will be tired, and you have to make sure that everything you're pouring out, because all this is a lie. It's this is a pouring out. And when you finish pouring out, then you have to make sure that you do whatever you can, whatever your self-care strategy is, to pour back into yourself.
Right.
And
because
I
that's
think
so important what you said, Shaun, because a lot of people as leaders, you know, teachers, ministers, business owners, it's hard for us sometimes to talk to somebody else, because many people look and say, well, I thought you was a minister, or you this big business owner, you own all of these businesses, and you know, and you having a hard time. And so sometimes we have to know, like Lotia said, we have to go to God and say, God, who do you want me to call? Because I'm having a hard time. We can't share everything with everybody, because sometimes people would take what you say and they twist it, or they go back and run and say, girl, y'all thought she had it all together. Let me tell you about what she dealing with. So that's where the divine connection comes in, where you go to the divine maker and you ask him, who do I open my heart up to? Because sometimes we make the mistakes of opening our hearts to the wrong people, and then we get offended and upset when they do exactly what we already knew they was going to do to our heart, which was to take it out, stump it, ring it, use you, misuse you, put it back in, lie to you, apologize, and then do it one more time. But we have to be owners. We have to take ownership of who we allow to own our hearts, or to have a piece of our hearts. Because with that, with taking ownership, we then begin to understand that, yes, these things happen. Yes, this person did this to me. But guess what? What did I do to allow this person to do it? Amen. Sometimes we allow people to do exactly what we already know they're going to do to us. And then we get mad and we get offended and we be like, well, I'm doing it. No, you are to be a giver. You are to continue to pour out. But now you just need to ask God who you need to pour out to, who you need to bless, who you need to have standing beside you or in your corner, or who you need to talk to. That's a divine connection. When we talk about divine connections, we need to also talk about what makes us undivine at times. Yes. You know, what makes us that? We have to understand that we are flawed, but if we share our flaws with people, and if we're honest with our flaws, guess what? We'll begin to understand that we're not a perfect person. So stop trying to seem like you're perfect, and you going through stuff and you don't want to share because you like, oh, this person think that I'm perfect. Nobody thinks you perfect, sweetie. That's in your mind. So when we take away that narrative, guess what happens? We become a better person by taking away the negative narrative.
Yeah, that's true.
And just for the record, no one's perfect.
Right. Nobody's perfect.
Nobody.
No perfect patties out here.
Absolutely not.
Not gonna happen. Not in this life. Because look, if we were perfect, I think either our first name would be Jesus, or the middle name would be Jesus, or your last name would be Jesus.
Or we would be 6 feet under, or in somebody's tomb.
With them bones wrapped in that flesh.
That's right.
AD, press the wrong button the wrong day. You ain't get Rev.
I know.
You can flow dog with 2 G's.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
I just told somebody that today. I said, you know what? I read Bishop Jacqueline Parker's post, and she was like, y'all pray for me, because what I was free from, I'm dealing with it now. I'm going back in that area. And I had to say, well, you pray for me and I'm going to pray for you, because with all of this going on in the world with the coronavirus and Black Lives Matters and all the murders of Black people and the way the racism is set up right now, my mouth has been really ugly sometimes. So I have to learn to shut up, you know what I'm saying? Because my mouth has been liquid liquor, which means brown liquor. We all know brown liquor is strong, okay? And when brown liquor hits your chest, you got to pat it a couple of times because it's strong. And so we don't want to have our tongues don't need to be that strong all the time. So sometimes we have to learn how to just be silent at times and not talk, and just pray about some things. Or if you talk to somebody that you have a connection with, or you trust that person, that what you say would not be taken out of content, or it would not be taken anywhere else but between you and that person.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
Well, I was gonna say, ladies, that hour just went by so fast.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
It's been I was wondering, like, this is juicy.
On and on. But I would like to leave the viewers with a word of encouragement. So, Sean, let's start with you.
What? Oh, no. I would like to tell the viewers that their job is not done, that they may be in a situation or a circumstance that may not be favorable, but their job on this earth is not done. If they get up every day and have breath in their body, they have work to do. Their job is not done. And they are destined to overcome.
Amen.
Say it. Miss Julia?
Yes. Well, I just would like to leave the viewers with this. Know that in everything that you've been through, you are a warrior. If you're still here, the word survivor, sometimes it doesn't sit well with me because we all survive things. But I just want you to know that every day that God allows you to open your eyes, he says to you that you have a purpose. So find your purpose, whether it's paying for the next car's Starbucks or coffee, or smiling past somebody through our mask, or giving a head nod, whatever it is that you do, know that every day you have a purpose, and every day you have another chance to get whatever you thought that you did wrong right. Whatever you're going through, there's always the opportunity to come out of it better. So whatever you're going through, know that there is always an end, and the end could be up to you. It's up to you. If you want it to be great, you follow the steps of great people. You choose to have great people around you. If you just want to stay in your dungeon, then keep being around people that's in the dungeon and don't want to get out. But if you want to see the light of day and come up out of that dungeon, come around people that have walked out of that cave.
Hey, okay.
It's Tenora.
I'm going to end by saying to our viewers to remember that love supersedes all, and to always allow for growth in your era. Allow for growth in your process of era.
That's good.
It's Clo.
I want to tell our viewers to work with intention and intensity to become a better version of yourself.
Yeah,
Do not be satisfied with being good, because eventually good enough won't become good enough. I want you to be great, but it takes intentional work with intensity to be the best version of yourself that you can be. Be you bravely, because you're good enough.
And I just want to add, yes, we are still in a pandemic. There's still craziness and chaos in the world, but do not panic. It's no reason to panic. If you're seeking God, or you sitting still and trying to hear his voice, there's no reason to panic. Just ask for discernment. But I see it just as a lot of people so quick to react to things and not get the full story. So I say, don't panic. It's a pandemic, but if you really are truly keeping your eyes focused on God, there's no reason to panic. All right, ladies. Thank you for being on the show today. Thank you. So it was a real pleasure.
It was.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Yes, it was very nice.
All right,
Thank you so much for having me.
able to see each other again and give you guys, so just
Right. Right.
All right, ladies, you have a good
Right.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.